Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Oh, look at that photo. Great. Okay, so that's so sweet. Okay, so it's you in a very so what makes the image, because visually, right? Visual. So your big, bright, warm smile, the light is kind of diffuse. You're standing in front of a stucco white wall. There seems to be a ledge. On that ledge there's let's say 20 books. Some are textbooks, actually. And they must be textbooks. Yeah. It's you, bright smile, wearing this very, very deep, rich red sweater with a blue, you can just see the hint of the blue collar underneath. I'd say that this is like a staff photo. Because you said you're a librarian, or you're connected to a library, and there are a lot of library books behind you. So what is this? Why am I looking at this? What is this?
These are actually all books that I have written.
What?
That's my body of work so far. Actually, it's not even all of them, because they're not. That was taken about 5 years ago. So I've had a few books come out since then. But those are the books that I've written. Yes.
Respect. Nice. So are they? What? Okay, is there a limit in terms of, because some of these are textbooks?
Yes.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay, so do tell. What is this?
So as an educator, sometimes I worked on textbooks, and as a librarian, I co-authored a series of books on library programming to teach librarians how to create programs in their libraries. So the inspiration for this photo, I have an author headshot photographer who takes pictures of me. And one day she said, just bring all the books that you're connected with, all that you've contributed to or written, and let's put them in different positions and let's just see how they go. And the only way we could get all of them in was for me to just stack them vertically, and for me to lean near them. And I think I'm leaning a little bit back in that picture, almost against them. But that's just a representation of the body of my work. And the purpose of this picture is to encourage people that whatever your dream is, just take inspiration to action and just go for it. I first had the inspiration to become a writer when I was 13 years old. Wow. I had no idea whether I had the talent to be a successful writer. I didn't know any writers in my family, so I had no idea how to make a living being a writer. But there was just something inside of me that told me this would be a fulfilling destiny. That's what I want to do. And I just started. And luckily for me, I did not know how long the journey would take, because if at age 13, I knew how long it would be until my first published book came out, I might have been discouraged and not continued, but I had no idea. I kept thinking, any day now, this next one's going to come out. It's going to work. It's going to work. Okay. My first book didn't come out until I was in my early 30s. Okay. But then once they did, they just, once that floodgate opens, once you have that big break, as Hollywood people talk about, once that happens, the world opens up to you and opportunities show up that you could never have imagined. So I want to encourage I want to encourage anybody who's listening that if you have a dream, or even if you've been avoiding a dream or you've had any inspiration, take that inspiration to action. One tiny action will change everything and will propel the trajectory of your life.
You're awesome. You're amazing. So first of all, a couple of things. What is the title of your first book?
My first book was a history of the community where I taught. A friend of mine had asked me if I would write it for the community, and it's called Galena Park, the community that shaped its own history.
Okay. That's a good title. Yeah. Okay. And then, so on the one hand, then there's the content of your words, which are so uplifting and inspiring. There's the energy coming out of your face and your mouth, and, you're just like radiating. The photograph, which I encourage people to look at on YouTube, the website, all that business, is bright, is super bright, because it's a white wall. The light is very it's not washed out, but it's a very well lit, bright image. You're about 1/3 of the space, and again, super bright. You really, you radiate this real positivity. And what are your thoughts about when you inspire, because to inspire somebody else from your own experience, you kind of have to, on the one hand, as you said, and I believe this, like kind of reveal the naked, ugly truth of your experience and really get into that not darkness, but that intensity. And then people can connect to it. And then, so what is it in your head that flips it to be so positive, to be so radiant? Like if you could go back to kind of explain how that is, how would you put that into words?
I believe more than anything, Ran, it's intention.
Ah,
When you wake up in the morning, you set your intention for how you want your life to be.
wow.
That's the decision you make when you first get up. And I decided many years ago that I want to be a positive influence in this world. And so I have a rule for my life that I can only say positive, encouraging things, period.
Oh.
So, of course, that ends a lot of conversations very quickly.
It's just like, okay, we can't talk anymore. Okay.
But that's not to say I can't explore issues. I love to talk about ideas. I love to talk about philosophies. I enjoy digging deep and figuring out what makes people think the way they think and believe the way they believe, but always in a positive light. You know, I taught high school English for many years, and my
Wow.
goal as a teacher was, because I taught seniors the last several years, and I realized this was the last opportunity these students would have to get educated in a free education system. So I knew they didn't all have the passion for reading and writing that I did, but I knew they all had potential to make their dreams come true. So I began the school year by teaching them how to set a goal. And then the rest of the year, all the literature we read tied in somehow to how can I use this to show me how to take my own journey to where I want to go, whatever
Right.
that was. And I think that's part of the intention. You just have to focus on what is it that you want, where are you going. And my belief more than anything is that everybody and everything we encounter is not a lesson for us. It's just a mirror of what's going on in us. So if I
Ah.
see something in somebody else that I don't like, rather than judging them, I turn it back on myself and think, what is it about me that I'm uncomfortable with that would make me turn this thought into a judgment against someone else? So that instead of focusing on, oh, that person needs to change or what's wrong with that person, I think instead, what is it I need to work on now so that I can be at peace, so that when whatever that person illustrates to me shows up, I've grown from it. I've learned from it. I'm a better person because of it.
Okay. I'm just going to not talk for a second to let that sit. Okay, so like in order to get to those insights and to that kind of, just a mental awareness, right? In terms of, because you had to learn to have that reflex from somewhere. Is it from study, in terms of either studying psychology or studying schools of thought? Is it from painful experience or not painful experience? Right? Is it from modeling somebody? Like, how did you come to learn that?
I think getting back to light come out of the closet, the struggle that I went through ultimately taught me I choose how I feel and how I think. And I need to make better choices if I'm not happy.
Wow.
For the longest time, I thought, oh, the world was unfair to me, or, that I started out with, with a shortcoming in our society that was going to hold me back. Then I realized I get to choose that thought. I get to choose how I interpret what I think of everything. So why not choose, how can I learn from this? How can I become a better person from this? And how can I be happy now? Because even though I taught my students goal setting, I said the objective is never to be happy when you achieve the goal. The objective is to figure out how to be happy and enjoy the journey, because the
Right.
journey is really all there is. Once you achieve any goal that you're after, your mind automatically sets a new goal. There's
Right.
somewhere higher to go, somewhere better. So the key is to enjoy the journey. And so the focus constantly must be, what can I do now? What can I do today to make the quality of my life such that I can be proud of who I am and have no regrets by the time I get to the end of my life?
I love. Okay, I love what you said, but I'm also sensitive to how you said it, because you clearly have been in front of a classroom many years. Your brain just works in that way of saying, I'm going to present, and it's the whole PhD as a scholar and all this stuff, that, okay, I'm going to present my opening statement. I'm going to make my case, and then I'm going to wrap it up and put it in a box and then hand it over. So yeah, like, well said. Okay, here's a question for you. So you moved to Houston. You don't have any gay models or friends in Detroit, right? So then you get to Houston. So when was the first time you had either a gay friend or that you were able to put out into the world to somebody else? And it was probably quite private and scary and tentative, but how old were you the first time you were able to because it's one thing to feel it internally, but it's another thing to kind of go, and then you kind of put it out there. So how old were you when you put it out there?
When I first shared it with anybody, I shared it with my sister when I was 16.
Okay.
And she was very considerate. She was very compassionate and didn't say anything to anybody, but didn't really have much to say by way of helping me. She just listened. And then I had what I think is a fairly unique experience, because before I ever met any gay people, I came out to my parents when I was 17.
Okay. Wow.
I just knew at that point that I had not done anything with anybody, but I was going to explore that possibility. And I didn't want my parents to find out some other way. And so I sat them down when I was a senior, and I'd write about this in the book too. It's a very painful scene, but enlightening. And I told them that I was gay, and it was a very difficult conversation. And there was a lot to process afterwards for each of us, not just for me. But then ultimately, a few months later, after I left for college, that's when I first started meeting gay people.
Okay. Yeah, well, it says a lot about your character and values and who you are as a person, and also a reflection of your parents in terms of who they are, that you'd be like, okay, we're going to have a difficult conversation now. And then you do, and it's not it says so much about you that you're like, okay, I'm going to work with my parents. We are a family. I'm going to work with them to share, even though it's not easy to have the difficult conversation. So it says tons about who you are, who they are. I mean, it's very, in its own way, uplifting.
Yes. And they were very, very honorable parents, always. They taught us they modeled and they taught us how to be good human beings, always. My father is still alive. I see him regularly. He's in a senior living center not far from me. My mom died in 2016. But yes, extremely decent, honorable people. I love them very much.
Amazing. Yeah, and that really communicates. So my professional world side is as somebody who does training, and coaching and stuff. And one of the missions, the main mission of what I call service network leadership is just be a decent human being.
Yes.
And you're crushing it. Look at you. Well done.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Next photo?
Yes.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.